Hello everyone, it's Louise here from Busy Mum Homestead, and today I'm going to take a little break from my homesteading content and I'm going to take the time to talk to you about my carnivore journey for the last 6-7 months. Oh my god, I just said 6-7. I've just had my kids back for a week and they are teenagers, but we still joke about that from time to time, and I just said it again. It's amazing how often you say it and you don't even realize, and they pick up on it every single time. Sorry, I'm just crossing my legs. I am on the floor today. My daughter stayed in the room that I normally do videos from. So I just dropped them off at the airport this morning and have not been back in there. So I decided to sit down and in the lounge room and do this video. 6 months. It's actually probably been nearly 7 months. It was the 28th, I think, of December, no, 29th of December, 2025. So just last December, it is now July, when I decided to become carnivore. And I did not really hear about it before that. And I came across a video of someone who had lost 100 pounds. And I was intrigued and I watched the video. I thought, alrighty, I'll buy it, because I did not expect that they'd actually lost the weight. And I thought I'd buy it and just watch it. And I watched it and they talked about carnivore and how they had lost which works out to be roughly 40 something kilos for us. I can't remember the conversion. I'll see if I can put it up if I remember, here in Australia. But I need to lose over that. I need to lose that. So I was intrigued, and I have been trying to lose weight for a very long time, and I have numerous health complaints that I will go through in this video, because I did not expect any of them to be helped, and I have been really surprised. So obviously there is a long way to go with my health issues, because I have chronic health issues that are not easy to just go away, but I have noticed an improvement in them, and I am really surprised. So I wanted to do this video to encourage others, especially because I'm an Australian woman in my 40s, my mid 40s, and I don't see a lot of people really talking about this. And I didn't know about carnivore. I'd had heard of it, but I just thought that was weird that people would just eat meat. But really, when I think about it, what we would have done as ancestors, as primal ancestors, we would have mainly eaten meat. I know that there was a lot of, in the books I've read, there's been, talk of herbs and stuff, but they were all medicinal more than, a main staple, let's say, of the diet. So I had roughly heard of it. I definitely heard of keto, and I'd known people that had gone keto. I myself went paleo in 2014, I think it was, 2013, 2014, I was paleo. And I was actually paleo and on the autoimmune protocol for 18 months. And at the time, I did not notice, I didn't drop anything in weight, actually. All these people went on paleo and they dropped weight. I didn't. But I did feel better. I felt like I had more energy. I actually went off my antidepressant medication that I was on at the time. It helped me get off that. And I had really, really bad sinus issues. And that cleared up without the dairy. And actually, I haven't had as bad sinus issues ever since, even though I've since eaten more dairy. So that I have done that, but then in the end, I had to go off. I went paleo for 12 months, and I thought, I'm not losing any weight. And I was in a couple of support groups, and I talked to people and they said, you must have a lot of inflammation and sometimes it can take a lot longer. And maybe, and I thought, I'll try the autoimmune protocol, because a lot of people had results with that. And I went on to the autoimmune protocol for 6 months and nothing changed. I did not feel better than what I already did on paleo. and I definitely did not lose any weight. And then I got to a point, I'm a single parent, and back then my children were quite young. They were toddlers, really young toddlers. I had 3 under 5 at that time. And I was a broke single mum. So I actually went through a really tough time financially that came up at the end of that 18 months. And I suddenly had like $10, $20 for groceries for a fortnight. And so that meant I was buying a packet of pasta for, at the time, that was 60 cents back then, and putting tomato sauce with it for dinner. That kind of thing every night just to get through. I was baking handmade. Like when I had a little bit more money, I would buy a bag of flour and sugar and powdered milk. And so then when things went like that, which was quite often, I could then make a lot of cakes, bread. We had a lot of nights with bread for dinner, toast and peanut butter or something, or Vegemite. You know, that's kind of what we did. So I had to do that, so I left paleo, and that was in, I'm pretty sure it was 2014. So then fast forward through all of those years, and I have had some significant chronic health issues come up. I have put on a lot of weight, and that's due to my thyroid issue predominantly. I have Hashimoto's and hypothyroidism, and it took a long while for that to be diagnosed. I had chronic fatigue back then, when I'm talking about early, like 2013. So I also believe that a lot of my issues stem from that time, because I was a single mum with, like I said, 3 under 5, a newborn baby, that didn't sleep, and no help at all, and going through court with a hostile narcissistic ex that, you know, it was not a good time for me. And I believe all my health issues stem from that time. So I have diagnosed Hashimoto's and hypothyroidism. I also have polycystic ovary syndrome, which was diagnosed by the female health nurse, and I went and had an ultrasound, and there was 24 cysts on my ovary, yet my doctor at the time in 2014 wouldn't diagnose me with PCOS because I wasn't hairy enough. So I have struggled with insulin issues, I believe, ever since, although it's not been diagnosed. And I do know that, you know, if I was hungry, for example, I would, or wake up and I guess my blood sugar had dropped, I would get shaky and jittery and feel really out of it until I ate something, and that would just come on. And one of the benefits with paleo has been that I don't ever have that anymore. That has completely gone. And if I haven't eaten, I just get hungry, which is amazing. I just feel hungry. I don't feel shaky, jittery, like my blood sugar has normalized. And like I said, I've been on this now nearly 7 months. And that took less than a month, I think, for that to happen. And it is amazing to know that I can go out and do errands and get busy in the morning and just not have anything negative happen, and come home and just eat when I can and not feel like I'm going to faint and pass out. And another thing I've noticed actually from that, I listened to a video on Dr. Ken, I'm sure it was Dr. Ken Berry, said how when you have high insulin levels in your body, you drink a lot of water to try and flush the sugar out. And that has been one thing I have noticed in the last few months, is that, well, longer than that, pretty much the whole time I've been on Carnivore, has been that I'm not drinking quite as much. Like I wasn't drinking what I would say excessive amounts, probably like 5 liters a day of water. Now I'm probably down to 2.5, 3 most days. And I feel like that's normalized now, and I'm not constantly thirsty, and that part of me. So I didn't have any diagnosed diabetes, but I could not lose weight. And that was the thing. Every year about Christmas time, I would just chonk on about 10 kilos all at once, just before Christmas. And I think that was due to the stress that I was going through, being a single mum and not having money for Christmas, and that kind of stuff. And a couple of years there, I also, on top of that, at that time, I'm a renter, so I had to also get out of the houses that I was in because the people wanted to sell them. So that also added to a lot of my stress. And so, yeah, for quite a few years, I just would get to that time of the year and all of a sudden put on 10 kilos, and never be able to take it back off again. Sorry, I have a tendency to ramble, so I want to make sure that I'm on track with this. I know that I will forget things, because there's just so much I need to say. So I'm sorry if this sounds rambly or goes on for a long while, but I hope that, especially as a woman, you can relate, those of us that have been going through it, and especially us in Australia. Like, while I love seeing all the American content on this, and this is what's helped me with it, sometimes it's nice to hear from someone that you can really relate with, and I'll talk about that a little bit more and why, a little bit later on in the video. But yeah, so I want to stay on track. But the other things that I also have diagnosed is osteoarthritis, and I have really significant osteoarthritis in my back, in 3 of my vertebrae. I have sciatica issues. I have had my gallbladder out. I have had Achilles tendonitis, and and so when I started Carnivore, or just before I started Carnivore, like, I would limp all the time. I would get up from the chair at work, I'd be sitting down, get up, go to the toilet, and I would be limping the whole way. I would always have pain in the back of my ankle. What else did I have? Hang on. I don't want to miss anything because there's so much. And what was the other thing I just thought of? There was something else. Oh, and really bad digestive issues that I didn't really realize I had until I went Carnivore. Well, I kind of knew I had them, but I didn't know how bad they were. And also frequent urination, which I guess comes with drinking too much water as well. Every hour I would have to go to the toilet at work, which was really embarrassing because people would notice, and I could not hold it, and I'd have to go. And that was literally every hour. And also having bad issues digestively with having to go all of a sudden. This is going to be TMI, but like wiping and never getting clean. Excessive gas and bad gas. And just stomach cramps every single morning, needing to go. So it was really tough, and I didn't realize how bad that was until I started eating Carnivore, and that cleared up within the first week, and started to, and I was absolutely gobsmacked. I also have really bad reflux, and so much so that after dinner, quite often I'd be sitting there for a couple of hours after, and I would just regurgitate food back up into my mouth all the time. Just involuntary, it would just come back up, and I would have really bad, wake up in the middle of the night thinking I was having a heart attack because the heartburn would be so bad. And yeah, waking up a lot through the night to go to the toilet. Sleep wasn't too much of an issue because I've really worked on my sleep health over the years, and also just working and being a mum, I just don't feel like I would sleep a lot. So that wasn't as much of an issue, except for waking up to go to the toilet for me. I do, and I know I have snored really badly, but my children haven't really told me that I've gotten better with that. But then they might not know because they're in different rooms. So that's been, I guess, the list of things that have been problem for me over the years. And so I wanted to do Carnivore because predominantly, to start with, I wanted to lose some weight. I knew my doctor had told me to lose over 20 kilos, and I laughed at her and said, yeah, easier said than done. Yet she wasn't offering any way to help with that. And I was starting to feel as though I needed to go down the injection route. And because I can go to the gym and I can work out, and I've done that before where I've gone to the gym and I've just worked out a lot and then just lost 500 grams for the month, which is nothing. And it's so frustrating. I've tried lots and lots and lots of different things and nothing has ever budged and helped me in any way. I never lose weight. Well, at least I knew I didn't before. And so that was one thing that really changed when I hit carnivore. And so that's initially why I did try it, because I wanted to see. I'm actually a scientist and I've worked as a scientist here in Australia and done a lot of physical labor. So that's also why I think some of my body parts aren't holding up the way that they should. So I've done a lot of physical heavy lifting and that throughout my working career. And due to my Hashimoto's and that, even though I now have been on medication for probably 18 months or so, 2 years, I can't remember now, I still felt tired and drained every single day, and I would come home and not want to do anything. And every time I go to do something, my stamina levels was really, really bad. And I just would feel like I would get up to do something, I might be able to do one little thing and then I'd have to sit back down again. So that I wanted to change that. I wanted to lose some weight to change things for me. And yeah, I've been looking for something to do. I'd watched a couple of videos on people losing that much weight, 100 pounds or 40 kilos, but a couple of them one was nearly starvation method. And I was actually looking into going into fasting because I thought 1 meal a day kind of fasting would help me. And that's where I was kind of heading towards. And I'd watched a few different videos. Another person had lost it through really hardcore exercise. And I thought, well, I could go down that route. And then this carnivore one popped up and I watched that out of curiosity. And so me being a scientist, I approach things with an experimental mindset. And I kind of feel like, well, maybe I'll try this and just see how it goes. And that's what I do with everything. I'll research it. I'll read about it. I'll watch a heap of videos and I'll think about it and then I will try it. And so that's what I did with carnivore. And I was not expecting any results because every time that I have tried something else, I've actually never moved the needle on my weight or it's actually gone up. And I have never lost weight. I even went to Jenny Craig and they were getting frustrated with me because I wasn't losing weight. I was losing 500 grams a month and they told me I must be adding in all of this other food and I must be doing it wrong. And I wasn't. So that's the kind of person I am. I've never lost weight once I have it. And I did not think that this would work for me. And it has. And that's why I wanted to do this video, to encourage those that are like me to take that experimental mindset and to give yourself a trial run and see how you go and see how you feel. I initially thought, well, you know what? After I watched that initial video and then I watched a few more videos on carnivore because I was kind of intrigued and I started going down the rabbit hole and I thought, yeah, I'm going to give this a go because my kids were also away. So there was no reason why I couldn't buy myself steak for dinner every single night. So I thought I'm going to give this a week. And that's all I wanted to start with, just 1 week and see how I go. And I was amazed because after that first week, I actually lost 2.5 kilos. And that has never happened for me ever. And I'd lost 2.5 kilos and I was like, oh my God, wow, are you kidding me? How did that happen? And then I knew I was on the right path. So then that ignited me to keep going because like I said, nothing else had ever worked, ever. So I was really happy, but then my roller coaster ride began. So it's been up and down, and to give you an idea, so it's now nearly 7 months and I have only lost about 9 kilos. So my weight journey has not been all the way down. I thought at first when I lost the 2.5 kilos that, oh my God, if I'm going to lose 2.5 kilos by every week, by the time I hit 6 months or so, I would have lost most of the weight I need to lose. And I was really spurred on and excited. Unfortunately, that is not what has happened for me, even though I have been, 95% strictly carnivore. I do still have coffee. I do still have tea every day, and I know I should give that up. And there has been a week about 6 weeks ago where I ran out of money and I had to live off what we had in the cupboard, which was not carnivore. And there have been a couple of meals here and there that I have had, but 95% strict carnivore, aside from the coffee and the tea and the dairy. So I know Dr. Anthony Chaffee says no dairy, but as someone who struggles with calories and keeping up calories, I have added dairy back in a bigger way. And I'm currently experimenting with my body and trying to figure out what's going on with it. So I have only lost about 9 kilos, and so I started at 119.8. The lowest I got down to was 110.4, and currently I'm sitting right smack bang on 111. And the last month I've been up and down around 111 and going under it mostly, but then some days going over it some weeks. So the last month has been really, I've hit a plateau. And that's why I'm thinking I need to really get stricter. But I struggle with calories. So I have heard, hang on. That's the other thing. I had really bad brain fog and forgetting things. I was really like the kids were joking with me and saying I had dementia. And my actual grandmother died from Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, early onset Alzheimer's. So I was actually really, really concerned about my mental clarity and forgetting things all the time. And I still am. But that has improved finally. It didn't happen straight away. A lot of people say their brain fog clears up straight away. Mine didn't. Mine took a good 3 months, I reckon, 3-4 months before I started going, oh geez, actually I'm noticing a difference with my mental clarity. So I still forget things, but it is nowhere near as bad. Nowhere near as bad as what it was. So what was I saying? It still happens. So Kelly Hogan, who's another carnivore person on YouTube you may have seen, talked about the reverse diet, and she talked about downloading the Carnivore app, or not the Carnivore app, I think it's a carb manager, that's what it's called, app. And I did that and realized that I was actually, because I started off at 2.5 kilos loss, and then it basically just plateaued, and then I went up and down, and I've pretty much gone up and down the whole time. And I felt as though I wasn't probably losing as quickly as what I should be. Especially not if I wanted to lose that amount of weight. But to be honest and fair, I don't know, I haven't seen a lot of females in their plus 40s that have lost 100 pounds, 40 kilos in a year. The main ones that I see on males, and I think that the females, we have a lot more hormone issues and hormone related things going on, and maybe it takes us a little bit longer. I think there have been definitely women who have done it. I'm not sure. Leave a comment if you know anyone that has. But so I'm wondering whether it's taking longer because I am a woman in my mid-40s who is probably who would definitely be in perimenopause and having issues with hormones. So anyway, back to my point. Kelly talked about reverse dieting and how we may need to, some people actually need to eat more. And I started tracking my carbs because that really sparked my interest. And so because of her video on that, I started tracking and realized that I was only eating about 1,100 calories a day, where I need to be eating around 2,000 calories a day to lose weight. So I had to start adding in more calories. But one, because I'm a broke single mum, I can't afford to go and buy mountains and mountains of meat. And two, I can't actually physically eat that much because of my Hashimoto's and putting on weight. As most women with Hashimoto's and that do, and thyroid issues, we stop eating and we eat less and less and less and less so that we don't put on weight, because as soon as we eat, we put on weight. And it's this vicious cycle. So then we eat a little bit less because we want to lose weight. We don't want to put on all this weight, and we're trying not to put on all this weight, but we can't help it. It just goes on. And so I realized that I was severely under eating. So then I started adding in things like carnivore ice cream and more dairy. So I added in some clean yogurt with no sugar, no added sugar, I suppose. There's still carbs in it, obviously, to try and boost my calorie intake per day. And yeah, I still need to go back to tracking because I'm not quite there. I noticed again recently that I dropped down again. And so that's an issue I need to fix. But I do think that that's played a huge role in my ability to lose weight and the roller coaster ride that I've had. It hasn't been such an easy downhill slope. And I feel that that's because I'm trying to get hormones in check. I have chronic health issues, a range of different ones. And my budget, is also really limited. And then something that I think that is an issue for us Australians in particular, I hear a lot of the Americans talking about, especially like Kelly Hogan, talking about eating 100% organic beef patties and living off them kind of things and how they're cheaper. We can't get them in Australia. So even sausages, you go to the store and you have a look at the hamburger patties, you have a look at the sausages, and they've all got flour in them. Rice flour is like the first ingredient in some of them, and some of it's the second ingredient, but most of them it's actually one of the first. There's cellulose fiber, there's additives, there's preservatives. And then on the organic, I found some Cleaver's organic hamburger patties, which are great, but then they have spices and that in it, which I'm trying not to eat. So there's no just 100% beef and only beef patties and sausages and things here. And so the only meat you can eat is the whole piece of meat, which is fine, but I just feel like it's a bit more expensive and not so budget friendly, and a bit harder for us to have convenience foods as much as what our American counterparts seem to be able to get. And especially for me here in Tasmania, we don't have Aldi, we don't have Costco, we have none of those. All we have is big Woolworths and Coles, and then IGA. And IGA is more expensive than Woolworths and Coles. So I was shipping in some beef from Stockman Meats, but I didn't actually like their wet aged taste. I didn't like the flavor of the meat. So it's doable, but I just have found that there's a couple of extra hurdles sometimes, and definitely getting there. But another thing that also happened, sorry, my nose is itchy, I'm sitting on the floor. Another thing that happened for me was when I started Carnivore, I was taking chicken breast to work for lunch, because that's another area that I struggle with, is having something to take for lunch. Here I have the ability to heat up food at work, but I don't have the ability to cook food, and I have to go to work each day. Pardon me. So I was cooking a chicken breast or chicken drumsticks the night before and taking them to work, which was fine. But then I started getting really, really bad heartburn from when I started the chicken And then I tried tuna. That was also giving me really bad heartburn. Bacon was giving me heartburn. Lamb was giving me heartburn. What else was giving me? Pork. The only food I could actually eat when I started was beef. And so to take that to work is not so easy. And I can't afford to cook up steaks every day. And then a lot of the mince has also got so many additives in it. So I do find that a struggle taking food to work. However, in the last 2 months, I have been able to put back into my diet bacon, tuna, lamb, and I haven't been getting heartburn. I haven't tried chicken yet because that was the worst. But I've been able to add those things back into my diet. So of at night now I can have lamb chops for dinner, which is really good, instead of just having steak. So I'm able to now break that up, which is really good. So I'm not sure why I was getting really bad heartburn from those things. I don't know if it was what they were being fed or whether I just couldn't tolerate any meat apart from beef. I'm not really sure, but I'm glad in a way that now I can eat those things better, because it means I have more options and I can change my budget up a little bit with that as well. So overall, I know I've talked a lot here and rambled on, but I thank you for watching. But yeah, overall I've lost about just around 9 kilos, and I lost around 20 centimeters from around my middle. I don't have digestive issues anymore. I don't let out gas anymore. And that is amazing. And I do feel like my blood sugar levels have definitely stabilized, and I'm much better with that. My energy levels have increased exponentially. I no longer feel tired throughout the day. I no longer come home from work and feel like I can't move. I can now go and do a job and actually have energy and keep doing stuff, which is absolutely amazing. So my energy levels have really increased. I'm not getting headaches all the time. I was getting headaches all the time. My heartburn has really gotten better. I'm not having joint pain, and I'm able to walk. I don't limp anymore. Oh, I had plantar fasciitis as well. I don't have that anymore. That cleared up. So I've had all of that get clear. My brain fog has gotten better, and my clarity has returned, even maybe not perfectly, but it is like probably 70% better. Yeah, my periods they got worse for a little bit, like more painful for the first few months. But now they've started, and they were really weird. I was getting really light ones that I thought to the point that I was going to stop getting them. So then I started Carnivore, and they got really painful for the first few months, but they bled better, if that makes sense. The bleeding seemed more fresh and better. I don't know how else to describe it. It wasn't, and my clots, I was always clotting really badly. That has cleared up finally, and my cramps have now gone away. I don't have cramps anymore during my period, and my periods just seem to be a much more pleasant experience. They are there, they are heavy, but not too heavy. There's no clots. They seem bright. They're a lot better, and I'm feeling positive about them. What else? So yeah, I lost 10 kilos, about 20 centimeters from most parts of my body. Like, that's not just total, that is in different areas. So around my middle, around my hips, around my bust. So that's quite a lot of, that's like 60 centimeters all up. So it has been quite a significant amount. Oh, and the best side effect I think I have had, which I can't specifically give 100% is happening, but I am definitely sure it is my grey hair is reversing. Believe it or not, and my hair is getting longer and growing better. Like, it's growing longer and quicker. And my hair was completely grey. And I don't know if you can see in this light, but here I have a really black patch of hair. And when I lift up my head, you can see darkness, like you can see that it's dark throughout there. Before I started Carnivore, all I could see was scalp. It was just white. It was just white. All I could see was scalp. Now it's dark. And this temple region was completely white on both sides. It was just stark white. And now there's a mix of dark hair in there and white. So I am certain that my hair, and even on this side, I have a little dark patch coming up the top there. Here. I am certain my hair is actually getting darker, and I am really excited. As someone who went completely grey in their 30s and started going grey in their 20s, I was never ready to go grey, and I dyed it for a long time, and then 2-3 years ago I just let it grow out. But even underneath it's getting really dark, and it's just growing and growing and growing. And I am certain, I am so excited that my natural black hair is coming back, and I can definitely see it. And this has even got black coming through it where it was completely white. So I'm really excited about that. That is not something I've heard anyone else talk about, their grey hair going away, but it has for me, and it is for me. And I'm super, super excited about that because, I was not ready to be completely grey, but I was. Anyway, so I've lost about 9 kilos, which I'm really happy about. I have huge amounts of energy. And I can actually do things now. I do not ever get back pain anymore. I was in constant pain with my back usually. I don't limp anymore. I can get up from the seat and I can walk around completely fine. I can go for a walk and not nearly die. The other week, my son and I did a 5-kilometer walk, and I didn't even realize it was that long. But if I had have done that before, I would have come home and slept. I would have been absolutely wiped out. It would have taken me ages, and I would have felt like I was dying. I did that 5-kilometer walk and I was energized, and I came home and I did jobs in the yard. So completely changed. My fitness is back, and I haven't done anything except change my diet. I haven't done any extra exercise, nothing. And my energy levels and stamina has returned, which is amazing. So what have I said? I've had, my brain fog's also cleared up, and what else? No more plantar fasciitis. My insulin levels have returned to normal. Not that they've been tested, but I'm not drinking anywhere near as much water. I'm not getting jittery when I need to eat. So that has been a huge, huge change. My moods have stabilized. That was one thing I did notice when I first went Carnivore. A couple of weeks after I went Carnivore, I started getting angry a lot, and I actually had, I became hangry all the time, and I would get angry really easily, and I just noticed I would rage at something insignificant, and I'll be like, what is going on with me? But then that all cleared up. So I don't know whether it was hormones restabilizing or what it was, but that's my assumption. There was something I just thought of. The big thing, the massive thing I forgot to mention. So you're going to think me funny, but I have to say this. So January 17th, so not quite a month after I became Carnivore, I take your hydrolytes and electrolytes. I got up out of bed and I went to let the cat to their food. And I stepped back, and we have a little centimeter lip in the laundry. I stepped back and my foot landed funny on that lip. I fell backwards, put my arms up to stop me, and completely tore my rotator cuff, my supraspinosus tendon. I completely ruptured it. And yeah, I nearly passed out in pain. I was actually here by myself at the time, and I had to breathe through the pain. Yeah, I nearly passed out. I drove myself to urgent care, and they took an x-ray, and he changed his demeanor after the first scan. So I thought I'd broken something, like my, no, I can't remember the name of it. Fuck. I thought I'd broken my collarbone because of the way his demeanor changed after the first thing. And I know you can't see tendons on x-rays, but I know that, pardon me, I'm going to sneeze. Sorry. So I know that a really trained radiologist can see sometimes, if they get the right angle, tendon breaks and things, and fraying, because it happened on my leg when I fell over and I did my Achilles tendon. Well, I didn't tear that. I tore the side ones on the side of my feet. That's when he diagnosed me with Achilles tendonitis, because he could see the fraying at the back of my heel in the x-ray. So I know that they are really trained radiologists can sometimes see that. So he took an x-ray, and he was like, not roughly pushing me against the wall, but he kind of was, like he was pushing me into this position. And then he took the first x-ray, and then he completely changed, and he touched me so gently and moved me so gently afterwards that I knew something had happened. A couple of days later, I went for an ultrasound, and they said I'd completely ruptured the tendon, and I had a really big bursa, and there was a tear somewhere else, I can't remember, but all in the rotator cuff. And I had to go to surgery to fix it. There was no other option. Anyway, so that was the ultrasound was taken 2 or 3 days after I did, on the Tuesday after I did my tendon, which was on the Saturday. I then had to wait the Australian health system until 2 weeks before, so 10 weeks after, to get an MRI. And I finally got an MRI, and it was completely healed. So I'd seen my doctor in the meantime, and she had told me, you have to have surgery. It's not going to be fixed. And I couldn't move my arm. I couldn't move my arm more than 10 degrees out to the front. I couldn't move it more than 20 degrees to the side. So I couldn't move my arm. And I'd been getting physio, and I still could not move my arm, barely at all. So it had to be fixed with that. Anyway, I went for the MRI, and I had been praying, because I knew that the MRI was coming up. I knew it had to be fixed within 3 months. Otherwise, it would not be worth it. It wouldn't repair. And I was home alone with my 13-year-old son, and I was completely stressing about him having to be my carer. I was watching YouTube videos on rotator cuff surgery. So I was kind of preparing myself. I'd gotten a few things like a wedge pillow and things like that to sleep with. And I was trying to do things that would make my life a bit more simple, because I wouldn't be able to move my arm for weeks. I couldn't drive to work, and all of this stuff was really worrying me and stressing me out. And so this is where it gets a bit religious, but I was praying for a solution, because I have no one to help me. So I didn't know what to do. I didn't want my son to be my carer. And so I was praying for a miracle, something to happen. I was praying more for someone to come and help me, basically, and to show up and help. And then I went for the MRI, and then because I was knowing that I was going to have the MRI, and they'd probably book me in the following week to have the surgery, because it had to be done. And I knew it would happen really quickly. But I went for the MRI, and then I went in there, and they said there's no injury, there's nothing wrong. It's all gone. Like, the ultrasound was completely wrong. And I know that ultrasounds can be off, but they can't surely pick 3 complete things wrong. And then with the initial radiologist completely changing his demeanor with me, that just makes me feel like there was an issue there. It wasn't just made up, okay? And I know ultrasounds can be not so reliable and diagnostic, but she couldn't have got it that wrong. Like, they are trained, like, seriously. Anyway, so that was a massive, massive surprise. And either that was a complete miracle and it healed, or Carnivore played a massive role in my healing. And I have heard Dr. Ken Berry talk about people needing knee surgery and things like that, and not having that, going to have it done in 3 months because they didn't need it anymore. So I do know that that potentially could also be it. And I do think that Carnivore played a massive role in my healing. And then when I went for the review with the orthopedic surgeon to book in the surgery just after my MRI, he then told me I had frozen shoulder and I wouldn't be able to move my shoulder for the next 18 months. And I just have to put up with it and deal with it basically. And then after that, it should be fine. Well, now I have like 90% range of movement. So now I'm just going to do it slowly because I haven't warmed up. I can actually lift my arm up. And when I'm warmed up, I can lift it pretty much like 80% now. And I can lift my arm up to the side. Okay, I can't get it, completely up. Going back, I still can't do my bra up. And I can now get my arm to the back of my hair to put my ponytail up, and I can actually put it on and wash my hair now. Whereas I couldn't before. And so even though I'm not completely better, it's not 18 months. Anyway, I do believe Carnivore has played a massive role in my healing of my torn rotator cuff. And so, yeah, I don't know what else to say. I know this is a very long video, and if you have stayed here to the end, I really want to thank you for that. Sorry, the sunlight's just coming in, so it's a bit different. But yeah, I really want to thank you for being here. I know that I like to talk and ramble, but there has been so much going on for me, and I have so many issues health-wise that I really had to take an experimental approach and just see what worked for me. And I would highly recommend Carnivore to anyone, especially women in the perimenopausal years who are or have chronic health issues. And we know how we can be treated by the health system and how things get fobbed off all the time. If you're not feeling right, just do yourself a favor and give it a go. Just try it for a week. Or try it for a month, just see how you feel and see how your body reacts. Because honestly, that's the best indicator of anything. And that's what I stand by. Your body will let you know what's right for you and what's wrong for you. And so I really feel like you need to give it a chance and try it. And for the men out there too, like obviously it works for men. I just wanted to put a female voice out here because I feel like there's a lot of male voices and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But for us women, we have a lot of extra hormonal challenges, I feel sometimes, that can add to things and really make it a bit more challenging. And it's not been an easy run the last 6 months. There are a lot of people that get on here and say, oh my God, everything's better and I've lost all this weight and it sounds so easy. And while it has been really easy and I've actually enjoyed it and I really don't miss so much of all the other food, there are a few things I miss. Like I love pumpkin, but anyway, there are a few things that I do miss, and I'm still having coffee, so I can still be better. But I would highly recommend trying it, especially if you have multiple health issues or you have a lot of weight to lose. or you're just not feeling right, you're feeling brain foggy, you're just not feeling good, you're feeling sluggish and bloated, or you have mental health issues, please just try. Just give it a go. Experiment with your body, although, that can not always be a good thing, but I feel safely. Just try it for a week with Carnivore and see how you go. Hopefully let go of some of the stigma attached to it, or get the knowledge out there, because I really do feel it's beneficial. And I watched some more videos on it, especially the reputable people like Dr. Ken Berry, Dr. Andrew Chaffee, Dr. Shaun Baker. I think Kelly Hogan's another great one, especially for women. Those 4, even if you just start with 4, there's an Australian guy, young guy, Max German. I just watched him on Steak and Butter Girls, another great one. And there's another lady, she lives in Turkey at the moment. She's Australian. Can't remember what her channel is, but she's also really good. I really like her. I really like the way she interviews, and she's really good. I'll have to see if I can find her name. I'll try and post the links below to those channels if anyone's interested in watching those. But I highly recommend giving it a go. Let me know in the comments if you've tried Carnivore, if you are Carnivore, if this has reached anyone that is or that's not Carnivore, that's thinking about Carnivore. It's a yes from me. I really didn't think I would do this long term, but I'm heading into my 7th month and I'm thinking about getting stricter and stricter. And I can't see me probably going back to carbohydrates ever again. I started this wanting to lose weight and never ever thought that I could actually heal all of my health issues. I felt like an 80-year-old woman, and I was only in my 40s, and I did not ever think that I could actually heal what was wrong with me, because I have so many complicated issues, all autoimmune pretty much. But and I tried so many things over the years and different things, and I ate raw whole food diet. So I'd gotten rid of processed food ages ago. I was eating raw whole food diet, and that's part of the reason why I actually didn't get a lot of people when they go from a normal diet to Carnivore in the first week or 2 will have a day of really bad diarrhea. So just be aware of that. I actually never went through that, and I put that down to the fact that I was eating a whole food diet anyway, and not a lot of sugar, obvious sugar like carbohydrates, yes, vegetables in that, but not sugary foods. I wasn't eating any of that, and yet I was still gaining weight and gaining weight and gaining weight. So I didn't experience that, but I don't feel like I'll go back to the way I was eating, because my health conditions are starting to improve, and I'm seeing improvement. And in the things that, yes, I'm not 100% better. I can't sit here and say everything's cured, because it's not, but I do feel things are better. And in fact, this week I've got to go for another blood test with my thyroid. I'm interested to see how that goes, because actually, I will be honest, the last test I had 3 months ago, my thyroid stimulating hormone had actually increased a little bit. So I'm not sure, and my T3 and T4 levels had both dropped a little bit. Not significantly, but they had. So I've got to go for another blood test next week. I don't know what that's going to show, but I feel like that 3 months ago, my body was going through a lot of changes. So I'm not sure, but I highly recommend this. If you want to try it, drop me a comment. Let me know, would you try it? Have you tried it? Are you thinking about it? Or, what things do you think it might help you with yourself? Because my eyes have been opened, and I highly recommend everyone to try Carnivore. So sorry for the huge long video, but I really do appreciate you, and thank you for being here. And if you want to me to give you an update, say in another 6 months or even 3 months, let me know in the comments below, and I'd be happy to do that too. All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.